Okay. Welcome back, class, to our second installment of our online course. Today we're going to be discussing unemployment. We talked about gross domestic product yesterday, and remember, nominal gross domestic product, take the inflation rate out of it, and we'll give you real gross domestic product. Okay, we need to remember that, and you need to remember the three ways we define it: the output method, expenditure method, and total factor income method. You'll need to remember those for your essay test, okay? So today we're talking about unemployment. Mentioned yesterday that the two big evils of macroeconomics are unemployment and inflation. Of the two, I would say unemployment is the biggest problem, because what would you rather have? Would you rather have be out of work and yet have stable pricing, or would you rather have a great job, you're busy, but when you go to the market, the prices have gone up 10%. I've lived through both scenarios. Believe me, it's more fun to live with inflation and some low unemployment, having everything busy, than the other way around. All right, so unemployment. First of all, if you are employed, you are actively working, full-time or part-time. Now that's some of the problem, because even if you're working part-time and you're not making enough money to actually support a family, you are considered employed, all right? Then unemployed. You're unemployed if you are not working, but you've been actively seeking work. In the last typically 4 weeks, you've been looking for work. So you have to be looking for work to be considered unemployed. If you give up looking for work, you become discouraged, and you just stop looking, then you fall off of the unemployment rolls. All right? Now, unemployment, basically there's three, and I've given you the fourth one is seasonal. But the first one we talk about is structural unemployment. I don't think I've ever seen an economics book that treats structural unemployment with the emotional issue that it really does hit folks with. For instance, they'll talk about, well, this is the way an economy is evolving. We have what is called creative destruction. Some industries are constantly changing, and they're not necessarily being destroyed, but they are changing and making large portions of what they produce obsolete. And then there are new industries coming, to the forefront. The problem is, with structural unemployment, if this does happen, there's a lot more pain involved than just about any economics book ever talks about. They talk about, well, there'll be redirection into emerging industries, or the government can help with retraining programs. In our textbook, which is actually a very, very good book, they'll talk about that as trying to bring people into the new areas of the economy. But let's face it, if you've been working in an industry for, let's say, 35 years, and all of a sudden your job is gone because they've developed something new, it is very unlikely you're going to find a job that is quite as good. Now, that's not always true. That's not all the time. But it, generally speaking, if you've been employed in an industry and all of a sudden there's no need for that product anymore, and you put 35 years of your life into it, it's going to be tough finding a job that's going to give you comparable benefits. Anyway, so structural means something happened in your business that changed it. For instance, classic examples of buggy whips, when they went from horse-drawn carriages to automobiles, the buggy whip industry collapsed. Now, sometimes you can change. For instance, the Fisher family, Body by Fisher, they built a lot of the carriages for the horse-drawn carriages. They were able to make that transformation into bodies for the General Motors passenger cars and trucks. There's an instance where, okay, there was creative destruction, a new industry emerged, but a lot of the folks were not unemployed for all that long, so it wasn't quite as bad as it might have been, all right? But something has happened in your industry, all right? The second one is frictional unemployment. That's just a case of you're switching jobs, you're well-trained, you're well-educated, there are jobs there for you, the companies just haven't found you, you just haven't made that connection yet, but you're in transition. You may be moving, let's say you're moving to the West Coast, and you're a highly skilled engineer, there are jobs there for you, all right, you're looking for a job, technically you are looking for a job, but there are jobs for you, and it's only a matter of weeks before you decide on which company you're going to go work for. That's frictional unemployment, matching the jobs with the workforce skill set. Typically that is a shorter term, all right? That's frictional unemployment. Cyclical is something else. That has to do with being in a recession. I think it's rather interesting where we are now, what we're going through, our economy. There are, unfortunately, an awful lot of people who are unemployed. But the government is addressing this issue. And you all have to remember that we are going to get through this. All right, but cyclical just means there is a recession. So it's in where we are. We talked about the business cycle, the other video. If we are in a recession, there have been maybe, not massive, but there have been substantial layoffs. That would be cyclical unemployment. All right, and that can also last a fairly long time. Seasonal is just going with the season. You have a pumpkin patch and you open it up for 2 months every fall, and then, when Halloween comes and goes and you finish your harvesting and selling your pumpkins, then you shut down. That's seasonal. It happens every year. All right. In fact, some books don't even bring that up, but we do with our video. All right. So these are the 4 basic types of unemployment. When we talk about labor force, if we take all the people who are employed and all the people who are unemployed, that gives us the labor force. Now, the labor force participation rate, many years ago, we didn't use this term all that much. In the last, I'd say, 10 years or so, it's been used quite a bit more. It is actually the labor force divided by the total population in the economy of folks who are 16 years of age or older. And that will give you our labor force participation rate. Now, natural rate of unemployment. The natural rate of unemployment is something we have to look at, because when we start talking about aggregates and short and long term in the next coming videos, we're going to look at an economy where they say the economy is at full employment. Being at full employment doesn't mean there's zero unemployment. It means that you are at your natural rate of unemployment. The economy is healthy. It's just, even when your economy is doing well, you're going to have a certain number of folks unemployed. And typically the natural rate of unemployment is the structural and the frictional. Depending on what economics book you're looking at, it seems to hover around 5.8, 5.7, 5.9%. That seems to be what the natural rate of unemployment is, even when the economy is doing well. Okay? Now, when we talk about full employment, remember, this will probably be another question, along with the types of unemployment. There will probably be another question on an essay or part of an essay question dealing with, do we have everyone totally working when we are at full employment? And the answer is no, we don't have everyone totally working. But that probably will be part of an essay question that's coming up. Again, all the remaining exams, there are going to be 5 essay questions for each exam. Each question will be worth 50 points. You'll have plenty of time to do it, but there will be a time limit on, once you click on to take the exam, there is going to be a time limit. So don't pause it and go have lunch or go watch a movie or something and come back to it. There is going to be a time limit for you to answer the questions. You'll have plenty of time to answer them, but I wouldn't pause it for, an hour or 2. That will definitely affect your grade. All right, so we've got GDP, unemployment, and then we're going to go into the price level. Price level will be on our next video. It is a topic that's also one of the major issues of macroeconomics. It deals with inflation and deflation. Again, the second biggest problem for macroeconomics is the rising price level, which is inflation, which we'll talk about next time. Okay? All right.